Greetings and welcome to our daily walk through the scriptures for May the 20th. Your readings today find you in 1 Samuel chapters 29, 30, and 31, where we see the tragic conclusion of Saul and David's relationship. And as you read this, understand that David did not want this for Saul. David, in spite of everything that Saul did to him, David loved Saul. But not only did David love Saul, but he especially loved Jonathan. And this also sees the tragic conclusion of all of Saul's sons being killed in battle. Remember, kings would go off to war. Kings would be in the front lines. This wasn't something where they passively sent people off. That's going to catch David later. But now we have a great scene of mourning, and we're going to see a fractured kingdom. Israel is going to be divided. Something that had been united under one king now is going to be divided, and it's going to be up to David in the ensuing chapters that we read to repair this and fix this. But we're going to focus on John chapter 12 today and a beautiful picture of sacrifice, love, and devotion that we find in the first 11 verses of John chapter 12. This is the anointing at Bethany. This is found in all four Gospels where we see various details being given of a woman who pours expensive perfume on the feet of Jesus. Some accountings say the head. We'll talk about that difference here in a minute. But we get some details that weren't necessarily provided because John has a little bit of a different perspective. And so it says here 6 days before the Passover. Now, this isn't just any Passover. This is the Passover, the Last Supper, okay? And so this is going to be a big deal. And this is part of the reason that this is such an important occurrence. Jesus has come back to Bethany. Remember, he was kind of away. The scene before this, we saw the death of Lazarus. And so now Jesus has come back to Bethany to hang out with Lazarus and his family. And they're having a dinner in Jesus' honor. It's probably to say thank you for, hey, thanks for bringing me back to life, Jesus. Let's have dinner. It must have been Baptist, because that's kind of how we do it too, right? As Baptists are all about, hey, let's eat. So anyway, they go there, and Martha was serving, and Jesus and Lazarus is hanging out there, reclining next to Jesus, all that stuff. And then Mary took about a pint of pure nard, an expensive perfume, and she poured it on Jesus' feet, and she wiped his feet with her hair. And the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. Now, we're going to unpack this for just a second. First of all, we know that this is Mary and Martha. So this is Mary, the sister of Lazarus and Martha. And we don't really know. She obviously didn't proclaim this or anything along those lines, but she came in and she brought in a pint. This is about 12 ounces of perfume. And this is an expensive perfume, okay? We know that it says it was worth about a year's wages. Now, he's kind of exaggerating there a little bit, but it probably was worth several $1,000s. Now, this could mean either that Mary, Martha, and Lazarus were well off, that they could afford something that was probably $6,000 or $7,000, at least a month's wages, or it is something that was a gift to them. Either way, Mary takes this, and we know based on other gospel accounts that she is emotional, that she is overcome, that she anoints Jesus and wipes his feet with her hair. And the house is filled with the fragrance of the perfume. But one of the disciples, Judas, who was later to betray, said, "Why wasn't this perfume sold and money given to the poor? It could have been a lot of stuff. It's not like Lazarus was really worried about that. We know John tells us now that that Judas had been dipping into the coffers to help himself. And so this is a very selfish thing. But Jesus clarifies. Now remember, Jesus has been warning the disciples for a while now that this is coming. But when you put perfume on, now why did you use perfume on a burial? Well, it was honestly to cover up the terrible smell. So she is using this for the day of my burial. This is really the first thing that we see, even prior to his triumphant entry that's going to come in the chapters following. This is really the first sign that this is beginning, that the thing that Jesus has been talking about is happening. Because now Jesus is being anointed and prepared for this burial, this sacrifice, and this death. And so this was just such a beautiful story to see the sacrifice that was made and how much they valued Jesus and they cared for Jesus. There was two different readings. Probably Mary was doing this out of gratitude for what Jesus did. She had no idea that what she was doing was preparing for the events that were to follow. But it came with a cost as well, because the chief priests in verse 10 made plans to kill Lazarus as well. Because on the account of his being raised from the dead, people were believing. which is really ironic and sad. They became so obsessed with Jesus that they couldn't even celebrate the reality that Lazarus came back from the dead. They didn't care about that. They're like, whatever, let's just kill him too. Because Jesus is wrecking things. Jesus is turning things upside down. Okay, that's our conversation for today. We'll talk more next time.